My name's Reggie Gonzalez. I owner of Hook 'em Processing, and I also help Brian guide on some of his cow hunts, top-notch outfitters, and I'm here fixing to take Kent Rollins on his first elk hunt ever. Luckily, yesterday I came in here and took a little quick drive, and I found the elk. You know, I noticed there was probably 30 to 40 in that herd, and I just turned around and drove on out and kind of had an idea of where they should be this morning. That's why we came over to the top of them. I didn't know we were gonna come that close to them, but close enough for Kent, so.
So I get out here on this ranch with Reggie, and we park back up here on top of an old flat mesa up here on the hill. And Reggie said, I've been in here yesterday. I put about 40 cows to bed out here. I seen where they was. Maybe they'll be there this morning. So we walk up on one hill and look down one draw with binoculars, and we don't see nothing. Walk down a draw and up on top the next hill and look, don't see nothing. But then we go down the ridge, and as we're going, hear them old cows go to chirping a little. So you know you're in the right spot. And to walk up on that last hill, and we heard them cows chirping, and then when you pull that gun up and you see down there in that sight, there it is. Get it done. Let's get the job done that we come out here to do. And that's not hunt a trophy. That's to put meat in the freezer. You know, God put these animals out here for us to harvest, not to take advantage of.
Good eating.
That's what I was after. Can't eat horns, you know what I mean?
This is Kent's first elk hunt, you know, and that he actually got to hunt one. And this is a memory we made together that I'll never forget.
You know, in 1982, I had an uncle call out there in the Gila Wilderness, wanted me to come and guide hunters, but I think more than anything else, he wanted me to come and cook and guide hunters both. Got to see some really beautiful big elk out there. We always had two hunters at a time. He'd take one, I'd take the other, but you get one shot on the ground, and most everybody was after a trophy there. It was big bull hunts, you know, something that scored 380 to 400 is what everybody was wanting. And it's a lot of work when that animal hits the ground. I had some really good hunters, and I had some hunters that sat over there under the tree and watched me do all the work. But when I get to go with Reggie, and we're on foot, in a way you get to see some of the most beautiful country God has made when you're walking out across there. And it was so quiet this morning, you could hear every little twig break. You know, when we first heard that cow, they sounded like they was more this way. You know? Reggie, thank you so much, my friend.
You're welcome. You're very welcome.
It's an honor and a pleasure to get to hunt with a feller that you know knows wild game, but he knows how to take care of it when it hits the ground. And that's the most important part to me. I don't hunt horns. I'm looking for something that's sort of like, how's it look in the skillet? That in there looks pretty good in the skillet.
Yes, sir.
When you get that animal on the ground, a lot of people are just gonna jump in there with a knife and they're gonna make a mess. This guy is I would call an expert.
So after we dropped the cow, I grabbed a log to lay it up on the side of it to kind of hold it up so Kent didn't have to hold up the other side as much on his own.
You know, in the 80s, probably 4 seasons, got a lot of elk hunters. Quartered a lot of elk, skinned a lot of elk, packed a lot of elk out, but never hunted an elk till today with my dear friend Reggie. And that's what makes this so special. I mean, we're harvesting meat for the freezer, and what better thing than a cow, a young tender cow, know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
So it's good from 1981 to 85 to finally get a chance to do this. And I think, oh, I'm gonna get to eat some of this one.
Yes, sir. From start to finish, from the time the animal hits the ground, you know, to the time you get it to me, it's a major factor in how it's gonna taste on your table. I have a processing business myself. It's Hook 'em Processing. They're on Brian's place, top-notch outfitters. I've processed many elk in my life, and the biggest, you know, I don't want to down the knife, but the biggest mistake that they've ever come up with is those razor knives. I use 3 different knives. I used one to gut with, I used one to skin with, and I used one to quarter with. You don't want to get that gut all over your meat for one thing, and you don't want to get the hide, the dirt, and everything on your meat as well. So I separate my knives, and that's one thing I've noticed. You know, people bringing in animals, they slice through the back straps trying to take them out because that knife is so sharp, and they destroy them. You know, taking off the hind quarters, they leave half the hind on there because they're slicing through that meat. You know, You need a sharp knife, but you don't need that sharp of a knife, you know. We're not doing surgery, so.
When you process meat like Reggie does and you take care of it in the field like he does, this is gonna be some really good eating right here. We might even ask him over for supper. Cooked it a little and on the smoker first, and then we're gonna glaze it with a little green chili wine and butter and garlic.
All right.
It's pretty good eating. You know, there's just something about that sound that just really gets deep in my heart and makes me remember, man, I love to be out here where I can hear them elk bugle. It's great to hear it in the fall. When you get an elk on the ground or a deer or whatever you're hunting, that's when really the process takes place of how you take care of it from that moment till the moment you put it on the plate. One of my favorite cuts, whether it be beef or wild game, is a tenderloin. Now, when we're talking about tenderloin, we're not talking about the back strap that's running down the very back right here. We're talking about underneath the cavity side, up there against the top of the rib cage by the backbone. There's two pieces of meat laying there on each side, which is called the tenderloin. Whew. And it don't get no better than that to me. Now, a lot of people, when they cook these, they would just sear them real heavy. But today, we're going to give them a smoke bath, and then we're going to finish them up hot, and then we got a what? A green chili wine sauce that goes on top. So it is going to be fine dining, but first, we got to get it to marinating. Now, before we get this to marinating, a lot of times when you get this out of the animal, there may be some silver skin right there on the back. And really, if you can chill that really good first, or just put it in the freezer and let it freeze for just a little bit to where it's pretty stiff, then you can just take a fillet knife and just cut that silver skin off there. Now, we're talking about eating elk or wild game, something like this, so beneficial to your what? Your body, because it is low, low, low in cholesterol. One of the best things I like about it too is look at this deep, dark red color. This has got some great flavor to it. So I really like to use a buttermilk base because it's got lactic acid in it. Now, a lot of people, when they think of a marinade and they think of acid, they just would grab something like balsamic vinegar. Now, we're going to have some of that, but I don't want it to be just overwhelmed with that. So really, when you're talking about buttermilk, you're getting the acid, but the milk solids in there and the fat penetrate, and you're going to get a more tender piece of meat, but a more flavorful piece of meat. So we're going to add some buttermilk, which is about that much. Some of that Lee & Perrins W sauce, and just a dab of balsamic vinegar. Give that a good mixing. So it's mixed up well. Let's just go ahead. I want you to just fold these back over here just a little. Pour you a little base there on the bottom. Now, I love to do all wild game like this, but really any coarse grain meat too works well on skirt, flank, tri-tip, anything like that. Make sure that everybody is covered and soaked well with this buttermilk. Now, I'm going to let this set about 2 hours. This is a tenderloin. Now, if we were using a different part of this carcass, whether it be like a roast or something like that, I would probably go more towards 6 or 8 hours before I brought this out and got it ready to cook. But being a tenderloin, 2 hours will be enough to make it delicious and tender in every bite. Well, it soaked about 2 hours, it did, and then I just rinsed it off with water. Now, we need to pat that dry, so we're going to get us some paper towels to lay right here. And I don't want Shan to pan around. When you break out meat, you have a lot of help that shows up. I remember when we was doing our favorite fall soups, wasn't nobody hanging around much, but they do love some elk too. So we'll bring one of them out here, then the other, because they come two to a unit, they do. We just want them good and dry. So we need to mix a little rub up.
Your table is really unlevel.
Is it? Well, How about that?
That's good.
I've never been really level-headed in my entire life, but we're getting close. Our original seasoning is the base. Add about that much. And to that, some garlic powder, onion powder, smoked paprika. We're going to give that a good mixing. Whew, so good it is. And then we're going to sprinkle. Give it a little pat-pat. Well, we got the legacy fired up here, and today we're cooking indirect again. That means all the heat is on this end, nothing over here. We shut that lid, probably we're going to be running about 350 degrees. Put them down here since they've warmed up a little. We're going to go to a target temp of 110 degrees, so we'll lay them on there. I did add 2 sticks of cherry wood to give them a little flavor, a little smoke bath. We'll shut that lid. Let the smoke go to rolling across them. Let that flame go to licking on them, giving them all that flavor and that good char. When we reach 120, we're going to pull them because we want this elk to be more towards the rare end of it. Then we'll make that wine sauce while it rests. Pretty it is. I can't wait to take a bite. Now, when I got her down here on the hot end of the grill, you want to make sure you get that perfect sear, but let that temperature get to 120, no more than that. Take them off, tin them with foil. It's going to rise to about 125. Now, while it was sitting here resting, we'd have had us some butter, then we'd have put some thyme in there, some honey, and some green chili wine. Now, if you don't have green chili wine or you don't like it, get you any white wine, that will do. Just let it cook for a minute. Always remember, put the garlic in last so you don't burn none of it, and then just drizzle it over either the whole loin or each slice as you do it. But always remember too, do not cut this away. Cut against the grain every time. So, Dooker, I'm going to have a bite of this one. And that's what I'd call medium rare, more leaning towards the rare. So I'm going to tell you that is tenderness in every bite. I do get the flavor that the seasoning brings out in it, but mostly I get that green chili wine with that garlic. But that elk is so tender. Just remember to let it rest before you cut it. You can't go wrong with this. You can serve this as a main course. You can have this left over, put it in a salad. You can make a sandwich out of it. But I guarantee you, it's what the hunt is about, harvesting the best meat. You know, I heard Fred Bear say one time, it's not about going out there and killing something every time. It's about getting to go out there and see the country and the wildlife that's in it. Now, when we walked up on top of that ridge and got to see them mountains back over our snow-capped this morning, and you see them elk down there in that bottom as they're just filtering along, this is God's country. This is what we got to do. So I'm very thankful that I got to do this, but still, and always I will, I'll tip my hat to all the servicemen and women and all the veterans that kept that old flag a-flying, no matter where we be. We commend you, each and every one. Rest of you, and get up on in here, Reggie. Come on, brother. Rest of you, me and Reggie gonna give you a big old hug. God bless you, each and every one, and we'll see you down the best hunting trail I've ever been on.
Good job.
You good people. I gotta feed the pups a bite, because they have been out here helping all the time. Have y'all ever had elk? Any of y'all a elk dog? Dooker says he thinks he is. Snows, are you an elk dog? Lou stole it. Oh my gosh, they really do like them some elk.